Welcome, everybody. My name is Shauna Anderson-Nude. I'm the president of Spitfire Advertising, and we help our clients to do marketing. But today, we're going to totally go off topic because the world is crazy right now and changing, and I want to help you. So I have asked my sister, who is Anita Steburg from Steburg Law Firm in San Jose, California. I have asked her to jump on with me and answer some of the questions that I'm getting from my clients and my friends, and she's getting from her clients and her friends. A couple days ago, she reached out to me. She called me on the phone and she was like, hey, I just want you to know that there's resources out here available for everybody, and you're taking the resources that are appropriate for you. And she walked me through each one, which made it so amazing. And I was like, I don't think a lot of people get this. Like, how many people have their attorney calling them and saying, let me talk you through this. And are you taking advantage of everything that you should be? So this is what I'm gifting to you today. It's a conversation with my sister. We've taken some questions that we're going to answer at the end of this of people that are wondering what to do. So I'm basically just going to let her jump in, go over this. We're trying to make it as simple and easy as possible. We created some slides so you can take screenshots with your phone and you can get some answers. So Anita, take it away.
Well, thank you for the wonderful introduction. Some background on me is I'm an attorney. I'm a tax attorney. I also do trust and estate litigation. But I wanted to, since the programs became available, I've done a deep dive. My OCD's taken over as a business owner, and I wanted to share the information with as many people as possible and to kind of break it down because there's a lot of misinformation out there. So we're going to talk about what's available, and then we're going to do a question and answer for some of the questions. So what is available today? Right now, this is being recorded Thursday, April 2nd. Right now, we have disaster loans. We have the payroll tax credit for sick employees. We have the withdrawal of the retirement penalty waived. Last Friday, we had a new law passed, and that has a forgivable loan component. It has emergency grants. There's a payroll taxes that can be deferred. There is an employee retention credit and recovery rebates, which is a stimulus package for 1,200 people if you're single or 2,400 if you're married, family, jointly. And I want to break this down, especially if you're a business owner and you are stressed and your business is struggling. There is relief out there. You just need to know where to apply and what it is. So let's talk about that. So the first one is the Unemployment Insurance Act. So with the Unemployment Insurance Act, it has an additional bonus to your state unemployment insurance. It is the covered individuals have been expanded. So if you're self-employed, unemployed, partially employed, the gig workers, the ones that have the side hustle, it is open to you. So on top of your state amount, you're also going to receive an additional $600 per week of unemployment benefits. Now, this just came online. Your unemployment department for your state is the one where you're going to get the most information. And as of last night, when I was on a lot of different states, looking up, seeing where the information is available, they've said it's will take them probably 2 to 3 weeks to figure out. So it is coming online. Right now, we don't have a lot of information. So to keep up on this, I'm going to refer you to your state's unemployment website. But if, like I said, people that normally could not qualify for unemployment, it is now expanded. And so your self-employed, unemployed, partially employed, your gig workers are able to qualify.
And real quick, what I saw yesterday when I was looking at it is that even if you were getting unemployment before this happened, you can still get that $600 a week. Yeah. So it's not just you're grandfathered in.
People that if they've been on unemployment, they've termed out, there's some new release that is there, the $600. So absolutely, how to access it, we don't have a lot of information right now, but once again, follow up with in California, it would be the EDD. I don't know what it's called in your state, but they're the ones to contact, and a lot of them will be bringing information online as soon as it's available. So let's talk about the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the EIDL. And this was available prior to the CARES Act, which was passed last Friday. It has since morphed and changed, and it kind of went on steroids. The way to apply for this is through the SBA website. This is an emergency loan to assist companies that are affected by COVID-19 and the national emergency. If the loan that you are borrowing is under $200,000, there's a waiver of any personal guarantee. And this has a special component to it because it's set up as a loan. However, there's a $10,000 advance, or some people are calling it a grant. And the emergency grant of $10,000 is while your loan processes. You're supposed to receive it within 3 days of your of having a complete application, whatever that means. It is, and that $10,000 as of yesterday on the SBA site says you never have to pay back the $10,000. So it is considered a grant. And it is up to $10,000. It's not $10,000 straight up. It's up to $10,000. And this is to help business pay for their operating expenses and to help cover the losses that they have suffered through this economic time. This is available through the SBA website. It is available to self-employed, nonprofits, and to businesses. So if you are self-employed, you can still get this loan.
Real quick on this one. So what we have seen, because you were telling me that you know people who applied more than 3 days ago, and they have not gotten this yet. What the completed application is not that first form that you're filling out. We're
Correct.
believing, right?
Correct. So when you go onto the SBA site, it's like a 2 to 3 page screen form. It's very easy. Takes about 5 minutes, maybe 10 if you have to look something up. It is very easy. What's going to happen is once you apply for it, SBA is saying it'll take 2 to 3 weeks. They're going to assign somebody to that loan, to your case. They're going to ask you for supplemental information. And I imagine what they mean by as a completed loan package is once they have all the documentation, that they're going to process the $10,000 either grant or advance, whatever you want to call it, get that to you right away while they make the determination on your loan. The $10,000 component, there's a lot of confusion about it because it has changed since it was first announced. Initially, it's going to be part of the loan. Then it was, if you qualify for the loan, you have to pay it back. But if you don't qualify, you never have to pay it back. It's now been shifted, so it is never has to be paid back as recent as yesterday on the SBA site. Information with these sometimes change, and sometimes, as Shauna knows, it's been hourly or almost daily. So as of right now, up to $10,000 does not have to be paid back under any circumstances.
Thank you.
Now that is different.
Wait, go back to number 4. I don't think you finished number 4. I think we stopped at 3.
Oh, let me see.
Was that on purpose?
No. So, okay, so the EIDL has emergency loans up to $2 million. This is to be used for business operation, but not growth. As a business owner, everything that we do kind of goes into growth, but it is meant to cover your losses during this time. So at some point, you're going to have to put in a dollar amount that you're requesting, and it is going to be limited by the amount of your loss. And number 5 is, once again, you apply through the SBA website, and it's available for small business as well as self-employed. On a side note, the EIDL was originally meant, when it first came online, and the $10,000 wasn't a part of it, and before we had this national emergency, such as California, it had been declared a emergency prior to some of the other states. This was also meant to be used for the EIDL for homeowners who have problems paying their mortgage and for tenants who cannot afford their rent. That information, I assume, is somewhere buried on the SBA site. I could not find it, but if you are in that situation, you're not a business owner, but you are a tenant or a homeowner, contact the SBA and find out about that program as well.
Good job.
So now EIDL, which is applied through the SBA, there's a lot of confusion regarding the Paycheck Protection Program. It's called PPP. It is an entirely different program. Whereas EIDL, you applied at the bank, PPP, you're applying at a lender who is SBA approved. Most of the major banks are. You can go onto the SBA's site and find out exactly which banks are lenders. Now, the Paycheck Protection Program is available to businesses, sole proprietors, independent contractors, and the self-employed. It is meant to keep your workers employed. There are specific conditions, but roughly it's 2.5 times your monthly average payroll. Now, there are some special conditions with that. For example, not all of your payroll costs count when you're calculating your payroll. And if you have employees that make more than 100,000, they're going to be capped at 8,333. They're going to be capped at $100,000 per year calculation, no matter if they make $101,000 or if they make $300,000. Their calculation will be capped at $100,000 for their calculation. This can be used for payroll, utility, rent, interest on a mortgage related to your rent are all allowable uses. This gets taken out as a loan. At some point in the future, you can apply for forgiveness. If you use the loans for payroll, utility, rent, mortgage, interest on the mortgages, and that is, when I say interest on a mortgage, it applies to your business, not to your home. But if you use it for that portion is forgivable. One thing I do want to make clear is when you apply for forgiveness, this is a new condition that just came on, I think it was announced 2 days ago, that 75% of the amount that you're requesting for forgiven has to track back to payroll. So if you use 50% for payroll and then 50% for your rent on your building and your utilities, you're not going to have the full amount, have the full benefit, because it has to be the amount that's forgiven has to be used at least 75% on payroll. With the PPP, once it's forgiven, you do not have to pay taxes on that amount. Normally, if a loan is forgiven, that comes under most conditions under taxable income. The IRS is, and part of the component of the PPP is it is not. So once again, you can take out the loan, keep your workers employed, protect your payroll for these 8 weeks, and you will get a benefit from it because you can take that loan and make it and request forgiveness on it, so you don't have to pay it back. This is available to apply for tomorrow, Friday, April 3rd, at your bank. Most of the banks are having some type of online portal. I bank with Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, we just got information today. They're going to have an online portal where we can submit an application. I've talked to somebody who uses Bank of America. Bank of America is doing it through an online portal. If you have a business, if you are self-employed, and I'm just looking at this, so small businesses and sole proprietors can apply on April 3rd. Independent contractors and self-employed individuals can take advantage of this, but you're not going to be able to apply until April 10th. So there are different dates depending on how you categorize your business and how you have it set up. So don't get the EIDL confused with PPP, and you can take out both of them. They operate very differently. The EIDL is for the losses for your business, for your operating expenses. The PPP program is really designated to allow you to have a place that your workers can come once we're all out of quarantine. Additionally, to protect your payroll. It's really trying to keep the workforce employed and keep money flowing through the economy. I wanted to just compare and contrast the PPP and EIDL. So the PPP, once again, is beginning Friday. The loan proceeds, if you want them forgiven, they can only be used to certain categories. The amount requested is going to be 2.5 times your payroll expenses. The payroll can be deferred for 2 years at 0.5% interest. That information has changed in the last 48 hours. Before they were going to say it's a 10-year loan. With everything that's coming out, they now say, because part of it is going to be forgiven, part or not all, part that's not is going to have 0.5% interest and be deferred for 2 years. And it can be eligible to be forgiven if used on certain expenses. Payroll, rent, utilities, and mortgage are the most common. EIDL, you can go online right now and apply for, and that's the one that has up to $10,000 grant. It's going to be capped for businesses at 3.75 interest for 30 years. It's to be used for operational expenses. It's the amount that you're going to request. You're going to have to show your losses. And there's not going to be any payments for up to 1 year on that. So, and that has the $10,000 grant that never has to get paid back for any reason. So some things to consider. For the EIDL, you're going to need to, once you go on the online and apply through the SBA website, they're going to contact you in the next few weeks to ask you for follow-up documentation. For the PPP, you're going to want to keep track of your expenses and how you use those money so that you can apply for the forgiveness of the loan at a later date. We don't have a date when that application will be out. We don't have a date when what that application will look like. We don't have any information. We just know at a later date, you can apply for forgiveness. So I'm a tax attorney and I deal with the government every day of my job. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not on the phone with the IRS, the EDD, what used to be called the Board of Equalization, which is sales tax in California. So thinking strategically, and I've not read this anywhere or heard this anywhere, but thinking strategically and knowing that part of the loans can be forgiven only if you can use them for certain expenses. Well, how am I going to make this easy to show what I use both loans for if I put everything into one bank account along with any business revenue that I generate? So my top tip for you is if you are obtaining both loans, open up a separate account for each loan. Or if you're only getting one loan, open up a separate account, especially if it has that forgiveness. If all you're applying for is PPP, open up a separate account for that loan. You are going to take out and pay out of that account any expenses that you can then ask for forgiveness at a later date. For payroll, you're going to want to come out of there. For your rent and utilities, have it come out of that. And that way, when you apply for the application for forgiveness later on, you can show these funds were used for this purpose. And it's very clean, very easy versus maybe the government will change its mind in the future and they'll say, well, wait a minute, if you commingled the funds, you as the borrower have the duty to trace the funds and show us that you used PPP funds for these and you didn't use the EIDL or any other revenue. So I think just being strategic about it, doing a little bit of inconvenience, because it is going to be inconvenience, go down to the bank and open up 2 separate accounts, but I think it'll save you a lot of frustration in the long run. Also, before we had a national emergency, there was a relief that was being cobbled together at the local, county, and state level. In California, we saw that, in fact, in Santa Clara County, where I have my office, we saw that Santa Clara had a lockdown or a quarantine order, shelter-in-place order, before the full state of California did. And there are different things that are available at local, county, and state levels. For example, on today's phone call with Governor Newsom at his press conference, he was being asked about real property taxes. And that may be something that they're going to look into later on. But in order to find that information, you're going to go to your county's website. So look at your local, county, and state website for resources and to see, as a business owner, what is available. A lot of states are saying that you can have relief of sales taxes if you're a business owner. There may be some local and county assistance and state assistance for renters that are out there. So not only look at the federal programs, but look at what your state is offering as well. Here are some additional resources. And the PPP summary and EIDL summary are great resources that are put out by U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And I put the guides out there, and I'm going to pull this up, and I think it's backwards on yours. But they have these great little fact sheets. They're, one's 2 pages, one's 4 pages, and this is the one for the EIDL. it gives you a great information. The U.S. Chamber has kept the date information up to date as the information's changed, and they've changed their PDFs as they've needed to. So it's been a great way of getting information, knowing it's reliable. The PPP application, the Treasury just released it today. Now, because you're applying at banks, the banks can use their own system. They can use the Treasury, but at least they'll give you an idea of what's being asked. It's a 2-page form currently, and then 2 pages of instruction and information. But you can go on there and see what information you need to put. It's very simple, very easy. And then the U.S. Chamber, of course, United States Chamber of Commerce, has a lot of information regarding the CARES Act, which includes the EIDL loans as well as the PPP. So
Awesome.
And Shauna, I think we had some questions.
We did, and I actually have some questions too. So
Okay.
thinking about what paperwork, like, so I went in and I applied for the $10,000 one. So
The EIDL.
Yes, see, she knows this more than me. I just say generic things like that, and she's like, "That's this one. That's that one." So I applied for that, and it was super fast and easy, and way too simple for anything for the government. And so I was like, "That can't be it." And she said, "No, it's not." Right. So thinking about what paperwork I need to have ready, so as soon as they contact me and they're like, and I know you don't know because nobody knows yet. What are you anticipating that we all need to have ready, depending on, like the different things that we've applied for?
So I think the PPP application when they ask for all of your documents and the EIDL will be similar.
Okay.
I think you're going to need profit and loss statements for the last year. I think you're going to need your payroll reports. I think you're going to need probably give information regarding your assets and your liabilities. And you're probably going to need 2 years of your tax returns. So I would say that at a minimum, like I said, your profit and loss is going to encapsulate all of your expenses. You're going to need probably select information out there. When you do the PPP, they'll probably want to say, what is they'll probably want a copy of the payroll tax returns. But I think that will be the most amount, or that'll at least get you boots on the ground running. If you have the profit and loss statements for the last year, your books for the last year ready to go. If you have 2 years of tax returns, if you haven't filed your 2019, well, you can still have profit and loss statements.
Okay, good.
Your last 2 years of tax returns, your last probably at least the last year of payroll reports. So I think that information is something that they're going to readily ask for. And one of the things that they're going to be looking at for like the EIDL is, what is your loss? What was your income or your revenue previously? Because that's what the EIDL is looking at, is to help you as a business kind of plug some of the losses, give you enough operating capital that you can remain in business. And for the payroll, it all goes down to, let's keep your workforce employed and let's protect the workforce. So I think, in thinking about it, those are the most likely documents that they're going to request.
That makes sense. And I know that there's some people, luckily we're a corporation, so we had to do ours in March. So we're done. But I know that some of my friends who have sole proprietorships and, their businesses, they're like, I haven't done my taxes yet. What do I do? So I'm glad that you answered that question. Appreciate that. Okay. Ready for the Q&A? So
sure.
Some people had submitted questions in advance that they wanted answered. So here you go. So the first question, are there guidelines already established for the time frame which a small business has to address any previously unpaid rent once the eviction moratorium ends?
So let me explain if someone's outside of California, and I assume that they're in California. So in California right now, a lot of the courts are closed. I'm an attorney, I'm a litigator. I have no court to go to because I only go in state court, and my court is shut down except for emergency procedures. And they have said, we're not going to evictions. You can file it. If you have e-filing, you're not getting a date. They are not kicking people out of the houses. And they have said this is going to go, and I think we have a certain date. But once that date arrives, what happens? And unfortunately, it's a great question. I don't have a concrete answer because we've not been given instruction. Once again, I would continue to look at the state, use this time, look at the state level, look at your county level, look at your local level. State of California is talking about bringing online some relief for renters. Additionally, if your landlord has a mortgage, that under that scenario, a lot of the lenders are saying we will forbear the mortgage payments. So act quickly, act promptly, talk to your landlord. If he is saying, no, once this moratorium ends and I'm going to get you out, start applying and contacting your local county and state resources, because most, I believe, and this is just me, I think there's going to be resources coming online if there's not already.
Perfect. Okay, question number 2. If my small business doesn't have any payroll, can we still take advantage of unemployment benefits and the Paycheck Protection Program?
So I've heard that question before. Definitely you can take advantage of the Payroll Protection Act, even if you are the one that is the sole worker in that business. When it comes to unemployment, it is set up for self-employed. Now there may be some type of check that they say, you know, you're not going to have your business get money for payroll and then you get supplement benefits for unemployment. There may be a check, but I would say apply for both and see what happens. And if you, like I said, I think that if you apply for PPP, at some point they're going to, in the process, you're going to have to certify that you aren't eligible for unemployment, or that you haven't put it, or maybe the check will come at the unemployment level. But if you are a sole proprietor or self-employed, you can qualify for both.
Okay. Next question. Since we have migrated our business to an online platform, like so many businesses have, right?
Absolutely, smart.
So essentially we're running everything from the home. Are we able to run expenses or portions of expenses like the phone, internet, utilities, home mortgage, etc., because now they are truly business expenses? Or is it best to just continue to keep them separate?
So and refresh me, Shauna. It says that they were, did they say what type of entity they were? If they were self-employed?
They didn't say.
Okay. So and it is more and more common to have an online business. So if that is you, a portion of those expenses are absolutely applicable to be deducted. It's something that if you are running it strictly an online business, you should have a CPA or somebody who is, I would recommend a CPA, but somebody who is very well versed in that, because they're going to direct you in the tax world on your taxes, what things you'll be able to deduct. That being said, as far as the programs that are available, the PPP, EIDL, you are able to, those are business deductions or business expenses, and you should be able to deduct those. Now, can you deduct them 100%? Because the PPP says you can pay your rent mortgage or your business mortgage with that. And in that case, yours may be your mortgage is at home. Can you deduct 100%? I would think the answer is no. I can't point you to anything, but perhaps the portion, if you have a portion that is solely used for business, you may be able to qualify that portion. That is a great question. It is one that we've not seen a definitive answer on. But once again, if you are applying for PPP and you are taking your business rent that gets paid to you as the homeowner, take that out of the PPP bucket, knowing that it's a little bit unclear right now whether that would be available for forgiveness or not.
Right. And I think that one thing we keep coming back to is like, this is what it is right now, or there's not clear answers, but this is all the information we have at this moment. So we're trying to feed you with that so you have answers.
And these programs came online so quick that unfortunately the government and the powers that be didn't have a chance to put talk about it for 6 months and put together some type of streamlined process with them that was fully vetted out. For CARES, it was signed last Friday. We are now being able to apply for the loans a week later. So you can do things fast or you could do them well. You generally can't do the two together.
Right?
Especially government.
Yes, yes. Okay, so does a private state licensed daycare qualify for any aid or loans?
Yes, they qualify for both. You can have a nonprofit. You can have, if you're a VA on the PPP application, it specifically says on the EIDL, just because you're a daycare, I didn't see anywhere that disqualified you. So as long as you are running a business, you have a loss. And if you're having a daycare, you're not having kids dropped off. You can qualify for EIDL. Additionally, to keep your, to protect your payroll, you can qualify for PPP.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to read this one exactly how it's written, which it says, it seems that every small business is offered loans, but that's lame. Why should others be able to collect unemployment while small business owners and the self-employed are encouraged to take out loans? I'd sure like to be collecting unemployment right about now.
So if it is your business, you're self-employed, you absolutely have the option of taking out a loan because they've expanded who is covered. So at least under the federal program right now, they have said you can take out and get that $600. I imagine the states are going to fall in line with that. So you can. However, I also want to point out, as a business owner, for your operating expenses, the EIDL has that $10,000 that doesn't have to get paid back. Be smart. If that's what you need and that'll keep you afloat, maybe just apply for that. The PPP, if it's used for your payroll, it has an area that can be forgiven. So it starts off as a loan, but it can be forgiven. So be smart about that. If you're going to do that loan, make sure that you review the criteria, you work with your CPA, and that way you can get the maximum forgiven. And it's possible to get the funds and then have it all forgiven if you're strategic about it. So even though you look at unemployment and you're like, oh my gosh, these people don't pay it back and all that's offered me is a loan. The two programs that are hot right now, the PPP and the EIDL, they both have components where it doesn't have to get paid back.
Awesome. Okay. Last question. This person's a sole proprietor. They applied for the PPP. Their landlord has told them that they're not going to reduce the rent.
Okay.
And she is the only person that works in the business. Can she apply for a grant?
Absolutely. She can apply for the PPP program to protect her payroll. She can also apply for the EIDL. And those are, you can be self-employed under both programs. You can have a sole prop under both programs. Okay. So the PPP, once again, is to protect your payroll. And if you're the only worker, it's there for you. The EIDL is for other operating losses. So, you can take advantage of both of them, even if you're self-employed.
Awesome. Okay, and then somebody, instead of sending a question in, they had sent a tip, or actually they did a question and a tip. So the tip, they said, is to check in with your car insurer to update mileage, deductibles, etc., given that you have very likely changed your driving habits through this. I know I have.
Yes.
There are probably some cost savings which can easily be taken advantage of right now, and every little bit is helping all of us. So I thought that was a great tip. Do you have any other tips that you want to discuss that we haven't covered?
The only other tip, and this is the tax attorney in me, I help people review their financials all the time, and especially when they're in trouble with the IRS or a taxing agency. So go through your expenses, take out your checkbook, go through it, because there's probably recurring stuff that you forget that's on there. Look at it and say, where can we cut back? Also, I love the idea of follow up with your insurance, see where you can cut back. Look at what expenses are recurring and look at, do you want to cut these back? You will find, we just did this and I was shocked at how much stuff is automatic renewal, either on a monthly basis or an annual basis. Went through my phone with some of the apps that I've done, and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that I had this. So go through it and really look at it. And I think I found 3 months didn't encapsulate anything because some of the apps are on an annual renewal. So my thing is go back at least 6 months and then take out your iPhone or your smartphone, whatever you're using, and go into, if it's an Apple, I have an iPhone, so go into the Apple store where it says subscription and see what you're actually subscribing to. Those $3, $4, $5 add up quick, especially when you are struggling to put food on the table and pay rent and keep everybody employed. It all adds up. So be smart about it and take control now versus waiting. If you have a mortgage with a lender who has forbearance, Don't wait it for 3 months. Be one of the first ones at the table
Mm-hmm.
and request what they have and see if it makes sense to you. If you rent, contact your landlord right now, and don't be the 15th or 18th person they've heard from. Be the first, second, third, or be on that short list before they get bombarded. So just take control, cut back where you can, see what people will work with you, look at your local and state relief, and just take advantage of everything right now, because you don't know how long this is going to last.
For sure. Great advice. And that's what I wanted to, I needed to jump on, because I thought with having the slides, hopefully you guys took some screenshots. We can send out the slides as well. So you guys have all the information. And I think she's made it really simple. Know that everything is changing. Seems like minute by minute, not just with this, but everything in our lives. Like, what's the next thing that they're going to tell us? So, I mean, a legal disclaimer. Do you want to say anything? Just
legal disclaimer. I'm an attorney. I'm not your attorney. This is just about sharing information. This is not what I do. If you called me and say, hey, can I have you consult on the COVID-19? I will talk to you. I will give you all the information I have, but I do not offer this service because I've had to find it, because there's people I care about, not only myself that has a business, but there's people like Shauna that I care about. And I want to make sure that she is there to serve her clients after this is all over. So I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for the people that I love. And the more people that we can share this with and get the knowledge out there, the more robust we will all be at the very end.
Definitely. So I would definitely, suggest sharing it out. I mean, we never planned on doing a video about this, but after she had that phone call with me and she made me feel better. And then, I've been going to her and asking questions for my friends and clients who are asking me, because I don't know, this is not my expertise. She's the brainiac in the family. So I'm like, can you please get on a video with me that we can record and we can help more people, because people are lost. It seems like everybody's lost.
There's a lot of confusion. And part of that is because information's changed.
Yes. Yeah. And it's going to keep changing.
Yeah.
So, we might have to eventually do another updated video on this, but for now, this is it. This is what we have. Act fast. I think that's the number one thing. And that's where Nita was lighting a fire under me. She's like, what are you doing? There's this, and this. Okay. So like, which ones are a fit for you? Which ones aren't a fit for you? Like, you need to act fast. And I'm like, okay, I'm acting fast. So we encourage you.
Funds, both of these programs, and I love that you brought it up, both of these programs have a finite amount of resources that can be distributed. If I have, for those of you who don't know me, I opened my law firm in 2010. 2010 we were on the economic, if you remember 2010, the economy was burnt, the mortgage prices in Silicon Valley had hit bottom. People were just worried about how are they going to keep their jobs and keep their houses. And that's when I decided to open my law firm. And I remember there were some programs that were there, and I thought, I'm fine for right now. I will wait. It lasted longer than anticipated, went on for a couple of years. And I found out that when I was ready for the resources, they were gone, they were used up, there was nothing left. So if you think that you will be using these resources, take them. You can always, there's no prepayment penalty. So if you take them out and you end up saying, and the business turns around in 2 months and say, I don't need these funds, you can put them back into the system where they can help other people. But if you wait too long and you need them, they might not be there. So act quick.
Right. So I noticed on your slide, you don't have any contact information except for your website in the beginning that you did. Do you want to?
So let me give you the phone number. Like I said, I can answer questions. This is not what I do for my business, but I do want to make sure that that people get out information. So I have you can put a question on my Facebook page.
What's your Facebook? Okay, Steburg Law Firm. So
Steburg Law Firm. You can if you want to give me a call, my phone number is 408-573-1122. Once again, 408-573-1122. And if you have questions, I'm more than happy to sit there and answer them as best I can or give you the information. Like I said, I don't do this as a business, but I just want to help people survive during this time.
Definitely. We all need it. This is when we're learning how to be kinder and help more people. So the positives of what have come out of this are the things that I'm grateful for. Yes. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any other questions, you can reach out to me. If you are responding to this email when I send it out, you can respond back on email. social media. Just get in touch with us. Let us know what questions you have, and we'll get them answered for you, because the Brainiac is living this right now, diving deep to help all of us. So thank you.
And if they contact you or they contact me, we can send them out a copy of the slides.
For sure.
So.
For sure. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.